January 2022 Kia Sorento PHEV. The all-new 4th generation dropped this time last year, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the exterior and the interior. Instead, we'll focus on what makes a PHEV here. We'll talk about charging times and rebates and range and all the things associated with that. So power figures go like this. It's 1.6 liter turbo 4, and you get 261 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque as combined power figures between the battery and the engine. And it's up to 51 kilometers of electric range. That'll depend on how you drive, what's in the car, the condition of your vehicle, a bunch of different factors. But Kia Canada's website says up to 51 kilometers of range, which is great as far as a starting point for the first year that the Sorento has received the PHEV treatment. Now, battery-wise, it's a 13.8 kilowatt per hour battery. The small irk here is that if it was 15 kilowatt per hours or higher, you get $5,000 from the federal government of Canada. Now, the Kia Soul, for example, has that, so you get $5,000 off, or as an incentive. Now, because this Sorento has 13.8, you're only eligible for $2,500. So we'll see what happens in future models, but for now, if you want this, the Canadian government will give you $2,500 as an incentive. A perk here is it's not a CVT, it is a 6-speed automatic transmission, so you get a little more of that traditional feel as you're going through your gears. So as far as driving dynamics and what it's like, a lot of the hybrids drive the same, and it's not a bad thing. So when the flip comes from EV into gasoline, there's a bit of a rumble under your right foot, and you can definitely feel it, and you know when it's going to happen. EV driving itself, extremely quiet, like all EVs are, or PHEVs when they're in the full electric mode. But if an irk for me is the hesitation when I'm going from a dead stop to starting off, and it's not a deal breaker. Irk for me, I wouldn't turn down an EV, or sorry, PHEV for it. It's just something I noticed through my week of driving. I'd say half a second hesitation, so your foot goes down and your body and brain register, okay, my foot has gone down, why am I not moving? But it just has a, again, slight hesitation. A bit of an irk, can be a little annoying at times. Now, this being a 3-row crossover, it's higher, it's longer, it's heavier. Driving dynamics aren't bad, but it still is a 3-row crossover, so it'll be whipping around turns and doing anything that you think you could do in a sedan comfortably in a 3-row crossover. But overall, as far as driving dynamics go, it's same as very similar to the gasoline version of the Sorento. Visibility is really good out the front, rear, and as well as the sides. EV mode, just to kind of jump back to that, it's a bit of a balancing act, so you want to be a little lighter on the gas pedal to kind of keep the EV side there if you're out of battery and you're kind of just feathering it a little bit. So right now I have, for example, 0 kilometers of electric range, but my battery is at 14%. So right now I'm in full EV mode. I'm going up a small incline here, so I'm going to be really gentle with the gas pedal, and my speed's dropping a little bit. So I'm at 43, and as I go up, because I'm not being heavy on it, now if I put my foot down all the way, not sure if the microphone's going to pick that up, but I'm out of EV mode, and the speed goes up, and the flip happens, and you hear that small little rumble. But that's not a Sorento exclusive thing. It's any hybrid, any plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Let's jump into charging times. So on the Kia Sorento infotainment system, top left is the PHEV button, and you get all your information. So right now, my battery has gone down to 13% from 14 from about a minute ago. On a 240 volt level 2 charger, I would need a total of 4 hours and 10 minutes to go from 13%, up to 100. If I go to a level 1 charger at 120 volts, the Sorento tells me right now I need 10 hours and 50 minutes. Before I started the review, I plugged it in my driveway, and it was at, I believe, 11 hours and 30 minutes to go from 15% all the way to 100. So now there's a little disclaimer at the bottom that says the charging time may vary depending on charging conditions. So good job on the disclaimer there. So if you have a EV station at your office, or that you're going to use 4 hours and 10 minutes according to this. Now, Kia Canada's spec sheet told me that the total charging time, again with the asterisks for the different disclaimers, let me take a look at my things while I'm stopped, is 3.4 hours to go on a level 2 charger from 0 all the way up to 100. So half your workday, sorry, half an average workday. Now for the 10 hours and 50 minutes, if you're home at 5 o'clock, let's say 6 o'clock from your workday, and then you plug it in as soon as you get home, and then you don't leave the house again until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you can theoretically run off all EV power depending on how far your drive is to work and what you're doing. At 51 kilometers range. So yes, you can theoretically skip out on all your gas rewards points for a very long time for your everyday city driving needs, or even like a little bit of highway driving too. But 51 kilometers, sorry, up to 51 kilometers is that magic number here. The world of fuel consumption. So we'll start with a quirk. The Sorento for a gasoline version has a 67 liter fuel tank. The plug-in hybrid version has a 47 liter fuel tank and make room for the battery. So what's impressive to me is they've knocked off 20 liters from the fuel tank, but the fuel consumption figures are just ridiculous. So it is 2.8 liters per 100 kilometers on city streets and 3.2 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway. Your blended total is 3. Again, that's your whole combined thing. Now, this came from Kia Canada's website. It's not yet on Natural Resource Canada's website. I'll put a little screen grab in here just to kind of show you exactly where I got the numbers from. Now, there is no combined figure, which is 2.8, 3.2, but you add them together divided by 2, and the difference is 3. Now, it might be 2.9, 3.1, but for the purposes of this, just doing very basic math, again, the difference, or the numbers 2.8 plus 3.2 divided by 2 is 3. A couple of other small bits and pieces of information before the review wraps up. Definite perk here between the gasoline version and the PHEV. There is no change to the cargo figures, whether it's behind the first row, second row, or third row. All the figures are exactly the same. So great job, Kia, on not sacrificing the functionality by giving the Sorento the PHEV treatment. Another cool thing here is you can tow up to 2,000 pounds with the PHEV. So if you have a cottage or you're just towing something or whatever it is, you still have, again, that functionality that SUVs are known to have and kind of expected to have, really. Quick touch on pricing, and yes, I know I usually don't do it, but with the PHEV and incentives, it makes a difference. So the EX trim, which is their base trim, comes in at $44,995. Government of Canada says you have to have an EV priced below $45,000 to get the incentive, so that's why a lot of them are starting at $44,995. There's the EX Plus trim, which gets you to more fun stuff, and that's just around $50,000. And I'm in the top trim SX, and that's around $55,000. I don't know what's going to happen with the future of the Sorento, and it's not a negative thing. It's just, you know, if you look back when the first Kia Soul came out, that was an EV, I think the range was like 160 kilometers, and now it's more than double that for the current generation. So having 51 kilometers now is good and great for an initial launch, but you know, what happens with the mid-cycle refresh? Do they double that up to 100, 150, whatever it is? Because as technology advances, things will get a lot more consumer friendly. And the flip side of that is, what happens if you pick up a 2022 Kia Sorento and you want to flip it? Does it hold its resale value versus, let's say, a 2025 with a mid-cycle refresh with, let's say, 100 kilometers of range? Are you going to get dinged for that? Because, you know, if you have the choice between 51 kilometers of electric range and 100, obviously you're going to pick 100 because you want to get the most amount of juice out of the vehicle as possible. So it's a bit of an unknown right now. Upscale, very premium here. This does have, again, being the SX, the fully digital dashboard and the blind view monitor and all the safety features and the sunroofs and this beautiful navy blue leather combo the inside. But we'll see what happens with it. That's going to wrap it up for the 2022 Kia Sorento PHEV. If you've got any questions on the vehicle, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to get you answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate the support, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and feel free to tell somebody about the channel who you think might be interested in what it is that I do. Until I see you again, be well, be healthy, be safe.